So, James, what would be the relative frequency of the people who chose dog and urban for their preferred, I don't know what you want to call it, this one? What did they get for this one? 0.4 or 0.40 is correct, which would be equivalent to 40%. And for that, you would have had to divide 80 by 200. Because that's this one. Okay. Angelo, what about this one? 0.4. All right, so let's see, for that one, I'd be doing 24 divided by 200. If you ever get something that's bigger than 1, then there's something wrong. We probably switched the order. But 0.12 is correct. Layla, what about this one? Can you at least tell me what I would be dividing? So how many total people of those dogs? So what about like, that's urban and dog. What about total dog? 104. And Hannah, how many people were surveyed? So this is what we're going to be dividing. If they ask how many total people, what's the relative frequency of people that chose dogs, I'd be doing that in my calculator, 104 divided by 200, and I would get 0.5, which makes sense because if 48% of people chose cats, 52% of people must have chose dog to then add up to the 100% for this part. Right? It's for that one. Natalia, what would go here? What's the relative frequency for the total people that live in an urban area? 0.67. So again, like these should add up to the totals, or just get it from over here, 134 divided by. And then Logan S, what will go here? Good. And that would be from dividing 66 by 200. So keep in mind, like we just did the decimals, we didn't write down the percents, but I've been saying the percents too. If you want the decimal version or you want the percentage, all you do is divide, whatever decimal you get times 1. All right, questions on that? So this is in relation to the whole. Sometimes we want a relative frequency that is not going to be divided by the number of people surveyed. It might be divided by like the total number of people that live in an urban area or things like that. So that's what these next questions are going to be like. They're going to assess us on, can you read it carefully? So like I could give you a whole bunch of vocabulary, but you don't need it. You just need to know how to read it carefully. So I'm going to scroll down these ones. When it says what percentage of those surveyed live in an urban area and prefer dogs, well, we did that when we made our relative frequency table. Urban area and preferred dogs, that's 0.40. Times that by 100%, and that's how we get the 40%. So that one we could see from our relative frequency table because that was out of the people survey. This next one says, among the people surveyed who preferred dogs, and here's the table again. How many people prefer dogs? No, just this first part. So it says among the people surveyed who prefer dogs, how many people prefer dogs? Good, that's what I'm asking. Awesome. Well, we are gonna be asking for the percent, but this is telling me to only look at a certain subgroup. It's not out of the people surveyed, it's out of the people who prefer dogs. How many of these people live in an urban setting? That makes sense? So that's what I'm putting down. It's not gonna be the same answer in this one. Well, how many people live in an urban setting and prefer dogs? So what we need to do is 80 divided by 104. And that, when I do that, is about 0.77. If I times it by 100%, it's about 77%. Just think about it. There's 16 of you guys in here, and we have 5 girls. Right? So the girls in this class make up 31% of the class. What if I said, out of just the girls in the class, how many have blonde hair? How many? 1. So that would be 1 out of 5. So there's 5 girls in the class, not 1 out of 16, right? You're not all girls, right? 5 would be 1. So that's like the difference. You got to read it carefully. Whatever phrase follows the word of, or like among these people, out of these people, given that, that's usually going to be your denominator. Okay, so that's why this is a different answer than that. So look at the next one. We have what percentage of people surveyed who live in an urban setting. So Kyle, how many people live in an urban setting in this? With it? How many total people live in this urban setting? Cats. That's total people that like cats. What about the total people that live in an urban setting? Under there. So that's going to be our denominator, because we want to know of the people that live in an urban setting, of these 134 people, what's the percentage of them that prefer dogs? Okay, so out of these people, we want to know the percent that prefer dogs. So 80 divided by 134. Oops. Good. When we round it, it is like 0.6, which when we times that by 100% is 60%. That's what you do, and that's what you will do on your final and on your quizzes today. Read it carefully out of whatever subgroup they're talking about. That's going to be your denominator for the dividing. Now, how many of the people responded that they prefer dogs and live in an urban setting? They're not asking us for a percent in that. They just want to know how many of the people surveyed like dogs and live in an urban setting. 8. All right, so again, it's really maker. Good on that? All right. Among the people surveyed, are there more people who prefer dogs or cats? Dogs. So that would be out of these 200 dogs is a little higher. And then your pet food company has access to a billboard in a rural setting. So let's highlight the column for the people that live in a rural area. Right here. Would you recommend advertising dog food or cat food? Because it's significantly more, right? Even though overall they prefer dogs, in the rural settings, they prefer cats. So you would say cat. Good, any questions? So your practice is 2 practices, we just did 2 lessons, going back to that. These 2 are the ones for today that will also be on your quiz today. I forget what we did yesterday, but that would also be in your quiz. I think it was just a correlation coefficient. So if you have questions, let me know. I'd like to quiz by like 1:40 potentially. So that way we have the last hour alone just to do retakes and things. But, you know, we'll see. I'll answer your questions if I need to for these practices, but you have time now to work on it.